Hey, I'm Shane Smith, the owner of Genesis Off-Road. Today we're going to be showing you how to install our G-Screen monitoring system in the new Ford Bronco. So to install the G-Screen, it's actually a very simple process. We're going to be putting this little 1-inch LCD screen inside above the visor. And to hook this up, we're just going to be running a single cable that's going to plug in here to the port built into the Gen 3 power hub. We're going to go right through the firewall and up the A-pillar, and I'll show you how to remove all that trim work around the A-pillar and around the windshield to make it super easy. So let's just jump right in. We're going to get started by grabbing the long cable that comes with the kit, and we're going to start running that through the firewall. Okay, to get started, we got our long cable out of the box. The round end is going to go into this port on the Gen 3 power hub, but we're not going to plug that in just yet. We're going to leave that laying here loose for the moment because we don't want the other end of the cable to be hot, so we get accidental shorts as we're running this through here. So this end is going to get routed through this grommet on the firewall right down here, and we can just reach in and grab that and pull it right out. That just comes right out. We're going to take a razor blade and just slice a hole right here in this grommet to push that connector through. Just like that. We just need a slit, and we're going to push the cable through from this side. Okay, that's about good enough for the moment. Let's go ahead and feed the cable through the hole down here. And then this grommet will just kind of snap back in place. Once you get it back in there, use those little tabs that are sticking out to kind of pull it back where it'll snap into the firewall. Okay, now let's go inside the vehicle and we'll pull the rest of that cable through. Now we'll just reach under the dash right up here and grab that cable and pull it through. And our plug came with it, but that's okay. We're just going to pull some of this slack out. And this cable is about 13 feet long. So we're just going to pull enough to reach up here. We're going to go up the A-pillar, and the cable is going to end up going right up here above the visor. So let's just kind of eyeball this length. That looks about enough. It'll be easier for us to put the extra slack under the hood rather than back here behind the panel. So that's enough. So now I'm going to push this grommet back up in here and get that back in place. There we go. That pops in place pretty easily. Now, I've spent a bunch of time looking at how to remove the trim along the door and the windshield here. So I'm going to show you the easy way to do this because I like easy. So this panel here is just going to pop off with some little clips. And I'm going to show you what those clips look like on the back side. So these are just little spring-loaded clips. They're going to snap into a few spots right here, so that one comes off real easy. Now, we need to get the cable from under the dash to over here by the door. So we're going to reach in here, and you should be able to see, I can see right through these little clip holes right here. And I can get that cable routed right up here. There it is. We'll pull our slack up to here. Okay, let's start by removing this visor here. And to do that, we're gonna pop the little cover down with a little pry tool. That little cover will drop off of there. And then there's a single 7mm bolt right here. Now this visor will come out of here. It's got a little latch on the front side, so you may need to turn the visor a little bit to get it in just the right spot for that to pop out. There we go. There you can see that little clip, how that's attached up in there on the rear facing side. So we're gonna set the visor out of the way a little bit for the moment. Now we're going to pull this little panel off right here, and it has two little clips on top of it that I'll show you what those look like. So again, with the little spring-loaded clips on the side, those just come right out. We'll set that aside. Now these panels are just going to pull right down to get us access up in here. Then let's use another pry tool. This panel right here is designed to pop away quickly with the airbag. So it just has several little clips holding it loosely in place. So this one should pop off fairly easily. And it's got a bungee cord so that doesn't come flying in your face when the airbag goes off. But that just has several small clips securing that. Now this one in the corner, we're just gonna pull back a little bit. We don't need much. Now that we got access to this corner, let's go ahead and start routing our cable up the A-pillar. Okay, I'm just gonna pull this little rubber trim back a little bit, and you can see that we're gonna go behind this trim, but I don't really wanna pull all of this out of here. So we're just gonna put our little screwdriver or pry tool right behind here and hold that back a little bit so that we can get our cable started in there and run that all the way up. There we go. Now we'll come back and put that rubber piece back on the outside like that. Now that we're up here, we need to get through the corner of this support structure. So I'm gonna pry this back a little bit so I can see inside of here a little bit better. And you might want to look from both sides, and you're going to be able to see a pathway to route that cable right straight through here to get the other side of that corner. And let's pull the slack through here. There we go. I'm going to get this rubber trim put back in place. Now we need to get from the corner up to the top of here, so we're going to go under, back into the hole, and around this way. There we go. Now this trim around the top of the windshield, we're just going to kind of pry this down, and those little snaps will pop loose. And now we've got our cable up here. Okay, now from up top, you can see how much space we have behind that trim over the windshield. So they left us lots of room. So we're going to need to tuck our little interface module back here, and that will get connected to the cable. And then the screen is going to go, you can really put your screen wherever you want to along this panel. I kind of like it right over here. I think that looks pretty good and kind of out of the way. Maybe not directly in your view while you're driving, but kind of over here out of the way. So behind here, there's really not much that's going to be interfering. There is a little screw that's coming down from the top of the windshield channel, but that's kind of behind this section right here. So as long as we stay over this way, we should be able to avoid everything. So in the box, you're going to get a little cutout template that'll show you where we need to cut a hole to pop the screen in there. So just find a spot that you like, and also notice you've got a little some little trim behind here, so we want to watch out for that. So make sure there's nothing behind here. So I think I'm going to go right about here. So I'm going to peel this sticker off, and I'm going to line that up nice and straight. I think I'm going to go right about here. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, when you got that where you want it, take a razor blade, and we're going to kind of score the outline. This is just going to give us a guide for cutting the hole to pop the G-screen in there. All right, now we're going to carefully cut that hole out. Now we know our opening isn't going to be perfect, but we can take the screen and hold it up here and see how we need to trim it a little bit. And you'll just take your time and trim away a little bit at a time. Just go nice and slow if you need to fine tune this hole, because the flange around the edge of the G-screen is pretty small. So just be careful and don't overdo the opening. Okay, once you've fine-tuned the hole opening and it looks like you got it fitting in there pretty good, if you remove the ribbon cable, let's go ahead and put that back on. It'll be a little bit easier to put it on out here. You'll notice there's one pin that's cut off on the connector on the back of the screen. That's going to line up with the little black blanking pin inside of the gray connector on the ribbon cable. So that's going to match up like that. Make sure you don't put that on there backwards. And then let's feed the other end inside the hole. Then we can pop the screen in place. Beautiful. Okay, now I'm going to reach in from the top and grab the ribbon cable. That's going to go into the interface module box, and this black connector is keyed, so it's only going to go in there one direction. Then we'll take the long wire harness, and you can see we've got that labeled for the battery kit going in here. If you're also adding our optional air pressure sensor, you can plug that into that connector. This connector is called a friction lock. This is using friction to hold it in place. So these 5 little fingers right here are going to go between the black plastic case and the white connector, just like this. And then it just uses friction to hold it in place. You'll feel it kind of snap in there. We can come back over here and pull some of the slack back so we don't have quite so much slack up here. Then we'll just tuck the interface module behind here. Take a look, make sure all your wires are going nice and straight, nothing's pinched or kinked or rubbing on anything. And there we go. Okay, now we can start putting our trim back in place. This one is just gonna snap in there like that. All these are just gonna snap back in place. Then this one, I'm gonna snap these little hooks in on this side first, get it underneath the corner there. I'm gonna do one side, engage one side first, and then you kind of rotate it and it'll snap in on the other side. We'll do this little trim piece up here. And then for our visor, let's make sure this wire isn't pinched behind the trim. Tuck our wire connector up in here. And we're gonna tuck that little hooked part right up in there. And you may need to wiggle this visor back and forth a little bit to get it in just the right spot. There we go. When you get it just the right spot, it'll hook in there. So let's put that 7mm bolt back in. And the little trim piece will line up and snap in place. Okay, now let's get this wire dressed out in here. I'm going to pull some of this slack back out. We don't need all this in here. Finish tucking this behind the panel. There we go. Now I think this one is easiest to get back on there by starting at the bottom. We're going to put these 2 little clips in right here at the bottom. Hold our wire in place and work our way up. Now this part needs to tuck behind the dash, so you may need to convince it to go into the right spot here. If you're having a hard time lining that up, you can bend that back and see where the little clips need to line up properly, right about there. Now let's go back under the hood and finish the wiring under there. Okay, we'll just pull that slack all the way out through the grommet, and then we'll take our connector. Now this round connector here, notice there's a little keying pin on it here, so when you pull this dust cover off, that pin there is going to go to the bottom of the connector. We'll slide that into the G-screen connector, and then this round collar is going to engage. We'll make sure that's pushed all the way in, and then you're going to rotate this collar about 90 degrees and you'll feel it snap like that. Okay, then let's just take all this wire slack and we're going to coil this up. This cable is about 13 feet long so that you can put that in various different areas in the vehicle. So we're just going to coil this up and tuck this right down here out of the way. Now that the cable's plugged in, the G-screen should be powered up. So let's go back inside and I'll show you how that looks. Okay, now we got our screen powered up. You can see the main battery is at 12.8 and you can see the text on the screen even all the time. If I tap the screen, the backlighting will come on. And if I tap it again, there's your auxiliary battery voltage. You tap it one more time, there's your battery combiner status is in automatic mode and it's currently off. And if I hit it one more time, normally if you had the optional air pressure sensor right here, it would say PSI, but if you don't have the air pressure gauge, this is showing you the firmware version. And you tap it again to go back to the beginning. For more info about how the G-screen works, make sure you watch our detailed overview video. It'll explain all the features for you. Okay, that's it. The G-screen's all installed. Did I miss anything? Leave me a comment down below if you see anything that's different on your vehicle. Make sure you subscribe to our channel to see some more helpful tips and tricks on how to get the most out of your Genesis off-road products. And thanks for watching. Okay, where am I looking? I think I was looking at this one. Was I supposed to look at that one? Okay, with the cable plugged in, we should have power on the G-screen inside. So let's go back. I'm bumping my head on the... Donk my head. Whoops. Sorry, Ryan. Hey, I hope that video helped you out. If it was helpful to you, please hit the subscribe button and like this video. That really does help us out. If you have any questions, please leave us a comment in the comment section down below or send us an email. And remember, it all starts with power.